Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast, you end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, if you qualify, Zelty providers can prescribe semaglutide, the same active ingredient, at up to 90% less without insurance. Done all online.
No wait at the doctor's office or pharmacy?
No wait. Zelty can ship the same active ingredients as other expensive GLP-1s to your door.
Get started with Zelty today for just $39. Call pound 250 and say keyword care. That's the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less. That's pound 250 keyword care.
Ever get that feeling like trying to keep up with what's happening in the global economy?
Yeah.
Like you need some kind of secret decoder ring.
Totally. I think we've all been there.
Well, good news. Today, we're handing you one.
That's right.
You, our awesome listener, sent in this really interesting mix of headlines and keywords, and they're all pointing to one big thing. Tariffs.
Yep.
Specifically, those between the U.S. and China. And there's this whole pause thing going on.
It's a fascinating story for sure.
Okay, so let's break it all down.
Sounds good.
First off, I'm really struck by just how much attention this news got. You sent us stuff from CNN, CNBC, Bloomberg.
The heavy hitters.
Exactly. And the New York Times, too.
Oh, yeah, they were all over it.
Plus, you even had some international perspectives from places like NDTV.
It was a global story, that's for sure.
It wasn't just news outlets either. You pulled in terms like bond market, Nikkei 225.
Oh, and the Hang Seng Index.
Right. And of course, all those market indicators everyone hears about. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P 500.
You really did your research.
You really painted this picture of a story that's impacting, well, everyone.
It's pretty amazing how these things can ripple out.
So in this deep dive, we're going to try to get to the bottom of it all.
It sounds like a plan.
What we're aiming to do is cut through the noise and figure out exactly what these sources are telling us about these U.S.-China tariffs and this pause everyone's talking about.
Right, because it can be hard to sort through it all.
We'll look at what actually happened, how the markets reacted, and we'll try to explain some of those financial terms so they actually make sense.
Yeah. Let's demystify those a bit.
So let's jump right into what seems to be the main event, this tariff pause.
Okay, let's do it.
What's really interesting to me is just how many times we see phrases like tariff pause, 90-day pause on tariffs.
Yeah, and even just straight up, Trump pauses tariffs.
Right. Or that he backed down on them.
That's a strong way to put it.
And the fact that this specific time frame, 90 days from today, tariffs paused for 90 days, is mentioned so much.
Makes you think it was a pretty big deal, right?
It really does. It seems like everyone was focused on those 90 days.
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, anytime you have major economic policy shifting, people are going to want to know what's next.
And the question, did Trump pause tariffs popping up so often?
Oh, yeah. That one kept coming up.
It really shows how much this caught people's attention.
It was definitely a turning point, or at least that's how people were seeing it.
Before we dive into how the markets reacted, maybe we should take a quick step back and explain what these tariffs actually are.
Sure. I mean, we saw tariffs, China tariffs on China, and tariffs everywhere.
Right. So just in case anyone's new to this whole thing, what are they?
Well, think of it this way. A tariff is basically a tax.
Okay.
But it's a tax that a government puts on things coming into their country from somewhere else. So, like, if a country puts a tariff on imported cars...
those cars become more expensive.
Exactly. And the idea is that this might encourage people to buy cars that are made in their own country.
So it's kind of a way to protect domestic industries.
Yeah, that's one of the big reasons governments use them.
Interesting. So they can be used as a tool to influence trade.
Oh, absolutely. They're a lever in international trade talks.
So with all this talk of a tariff pause, I bet investors were watching things very closely.
Oh, you better believe it.
We saw tons of mentions of stock market today, markets today, even stock market live.
They were glued to their screens, that's for sure.
It sounds like the financial world was reacting in real time.
Oh, yeah, they were hanging on every word.
What I found really interesting was how many questions we saw, like, why is the stock market up today? And why are stocks up today?
That's a good point.
It seems like this news about the tariff pause was seen as good news.
Yeah, investors generally like it when trade tensions ease up.
Less uncertainty, right.
Exactly. Makes them feel a bit more confident.
And it wasn't just a general feeling that the market was going up, was it?
Nope, not at all.
We saw so much focus on specific indices like the Dow.
Oh, yeah, the Dow Jones today. All those Dow Jones Industrial Average mentions, the DJIA.
And a lot of talk about futures, Dow futures now, Dow futures today, Dow futures live, all that.
Oh, yeah, futures are a big deal.
So why all the attention on the Dow Jones specifically? Is it really that important?
Well, the Dow Jones Industrial Average,
Yeah.
it only tracks 30 companies,
But it's one of the oldest, right?
Exactly. And those are big, well-established U.S. companies.
So it's kind of seen as a snapshot of the overall market.
Yeah, it's like a barometer.
Makes sense.
And those futures you mentioned, those are basically contracts.
Okay. Contracts for what?
Well, investors use them to bet on where the market's going.
So it's like they're trying to predict the future.
Kinda, yeah.
And people watch them to see what might happen before the market even opens.
Exactly. They're an early indicator of what investors are thinking.
Okay, that's cool. Now, we also saw a lot of mentions of the NASDAQ and the S&P 500.
Yep.
Or, all the variations.
Yeah.
S&P 500, S&P 500, S&P 500.
It's P500, just S&P, yeah.
What were they signaling in all of this?
So the NASDAQ, it tends to focus on tech and growth companies.
How?
So it's often a good gauge of how investors feel about those sectors.
Interesting.
And the S&P 500, it tracks 500 of the biggest publicly traded U.S. companies.
So it's a broader view of the U.S. market.
Exactly.
And we saw all three of these, the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P 500 mentioned so often, along with those questions about why the market was up.
Right. All pointing in the same direction.
Makes you think this tariff pause had a pretty widespread positive impact.
Oh, it definitely seems that way.
And you were right about those futures. We saw stock futures today, stock futures, Dow Jones futures, CNBC futures, future stocks.
And U.S. stock futures and futures market now. Investors were definitely paying attention.
It's funny, we even saw a mention of the bond market today and the US bond market.
That's an interesting one.
How does the bond market fit into all of this?
Well, the bond market and the stock market, they often move in opposite directions.
How so?
When investors are feeling a bit nervous or unsure.
They play it safe.
Exactly. They put their money in bonds, which are seen as more stable.
Interesting.
That can push bond prices up and their yields down.
So the fact that we're seeing the bond market mentioned alongside all the stock market activity,
it might mean investors were reassessing their risk tolerance because of this news.
they were trying to figure out what it all meant.
Exactly.
It's cool that we weren't just focused on the U.S. markets. We saw the Nikkei 225 and the Hang Seng Index pop up too.
Those are big ones.
Those are for Japan and Hong Kong, right?
You got it.
So the Nikkei 225 is like the main indicator for the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Yep.
And the Hang Seng Index tracks the big companies in Hong Kong.
That's right.
The fact that they're mentioned in your list, it shows that those global markets were watching this whole U.S.-China tariff situation too.
Oh, absolutely. The global economy is interconnected.
So when something big happens between two major players, like the U.S. and China,
The rest of the world pays attention.
it's like everyone's holding their breath to see what happens next.
Pretty much.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit and look at the big picture.
Sounds good.
I think it's pretty obvious from all those terms like China tariffs, tariffs, China tariffs on us, Trump tariffs, China.
China response to Trump tariffs, yes.
The main focus here was the trade relationship between the United States and China.
Right. That was the heart of it all.
Because when those two giants start messing with tariffs,
It can shake things up globally.
big time. And speaking of those two giants, it's hard to talk about this without mentioning the then president.
True. His role was huge.
We saw Trump tariffs, Donald Trump tariff stock market, Trump pause, Trump tariff pause, Trump 90-day pause.
It seemed like his name was attached to everything.
It really does. It highlights how much influence he had in this whole situation.
Oh, yeah, he is a major player.
He was the one who put these tariffs in place. And then, at least for those 90 days, he was the one hitting the pause button.
It was definitely his call.
And we even saw mentions of the China stock market and China stock market today, which tells me this pause probably affected their financial markets too.
Oh, for sure. Anything that suggests less trade tension between the U.S. and China, it's usually good news for both their markets.
Makes sense. What's also really interesting is how many different news sources were covering this. You had everything from CNN and CNBC.
The usual suspects.
Right, to the New York Times, Axios, Bloomberg News.
They were all over it.
Even the Daily Mail and USA Today.
Wow, that's a wide range.
And NDTV, bringing in that international perspective.
People were hungry for information.
Okay, now let's dig into some of the more specific details that came up.
Let's do it.
There was one mention of 104 tariffs on China. Any idea what that was about?
That's a tough one, without more context.
Yeah.
Tariff rates between the U.S. and China, they were all over the place.
Right. Different rates for different things.
Exactly. It could have been referring to a very specific category of goods, or maybe it was about a particular point in the negotiations.
Hard to say for sure.
It's doubtful it was a blanket rate for everything coming in from China, though.
Okay. We also saw the phrase, Trump backs down on tariffs.
Yeah, that one stood out.
The way it's worded, it makes it sound like he had been really firm on those tariffs before.
And then suddenly changed his mind.
Exactly. Like a pretty big shift in his approach.
Well, remember, those tariffs were a big part of his trade strategy with China.
Right.
So saying he backed down does make it seem like he was moving away from that, at least temporarily.
And then there was yippee. Yeah, just yippee. Any thoughts?
Honestly, that one's a head scratcher.
Right.
No clue what that could be about in this context.
A random reaction, maybe?
Maybe. Or a ticker symbol we've never heard of.
Who knows? Sometimes you get those weird outliers in the data.
It happens.
We also noticed Boeing stock in the mix.
Ah, Boeing.
Why would their stock be particularly sensitive to all this U.S.-China trade stuff?
Boeing is a huge exporter, and China is a massive market for them.
Oh, right. They sell a lot of airplanes there.
Exactly. So when trade relations get rocky and tariffs come into play.
It can mess with their sales.
Big time. And potentially disrupt their supply chains, too.
So any news about U.S.-China trade could make their stock price jump up or down.
Makes sense.
And last but not least, we saw Art of the Deal.
Ah, yes.
That's so connected to the former president. Do you think it tells us anything about why this pause happened?
It's an interesting point. The art of the deal, it usually implies a very strategic way of negotiating.
Like a chess game.
Right. Making concessions or pauses could be tactical moves in a bigger negotiation.
So maybe some people saw this tariff pause as part of a larger plan.
Possibly. Not a final solution, but a way to keep those trade talks going.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot.
We have.
And it's clear that your sources are all saying that this pause in tariffs did happen.
No doubt about that.
And the market seemed to like it.
They did.
But what's not so clear from these sources is the why.
That's true. We saw those questions. Why did Trump pause tariffs? Why Trump paused tariffs?
But no real answers.
Right. Your keywords tell us the what. The pause happened. The markets reacted.
But the reasons behind it, those are still a bit of a mystery.
It's a good reminder that sometimes we need to go beyond the headlines to understand the full story.
Exactly, dig a little deeper. And speaking of missing information,
Yeah.
we know it was a 90-day pause,
Right.
but these sources don't really tell us what happened after that.
That's a big question mark.
What happened after those 90 days?
Did the tariffs come back? Did they reach a new trade agreement? Or did something completely different happen?
It's like the story just cuts off.
It leaves you wanting more.
So for you, our listener, here's the takeaway. You gave us some amazing sources, and they show a ton of news and market activity focused on this 90-day pause on U.S. tariffs on goods from China.
It was a big deal.
And it looks like this news pushed the stock market up, at least in the short term.
The Dow, NASDAQ, S&P 500, they all seemed to respond positively.
We also saw that this wasn't just a U.S. story. Global markets were watching too.
The whole world was holding its breath.
But it's important to remember that this deep dive is based on what you sent us.
We've just scratched the surface.
We've identified the main event, how the markets reacted, and we explained some of the financial jargon.
Hopefully that was helpful.
But as we've seen, there are still some unanswered questions.
Like why the pause happened in the first place and what the long-term consequences were.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder. Knowing what we know now, what do you think happened next in this whole U.S.-China trade saga? How do you think things played out after those 90 days?
And what impact do you think it had on the global economy? It's a fascinating puzzle to try and piece together.
Hopefully this deep dive helped make sense of this complex event and how the markets reacted.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.